Hey everybody, it's happiness expert Melanie Cool. I'm just sitting here planning my class for 2021, thriving in 2021, going from surviving to thriving and having all kinds of fun ideas with what we're going to do and what we're going to learn and how we're going to implement it. And I started thinking about my own life and the times that I've gone from surviving to thriving, and just kind of reflecting on 2020 and what a hard year it's been. Sometimes when we think about hard things, it just triggers our brain to think about other hard things. And actually, that is a trauma response. When you have something traumatic happen, it changes the wiring of your brain. And so every time in your life when something traumatic happens, those areas light up again. Of course, we can heal from trauma, and we can develop new neural pathways in our brain that are filled with positive things and gratitude and zest and hope. But those trauma wirings are still there. They're always there. But anyway, I was thinking about going from surviving to thriving in my own life. And probably the worst thing that ever happened to me was 20 years ago. I was a fast food manager, and I hadn't never led my life very intentionally. I always thought happiness was somewhere else. So when I was in high school, I couldn't wait to get to college. I thought that's where happiness would be. When I was in college, I couldn't wait to get married because I thought that's where happiness would be. When I was married, I had children. I thought that's where happiness would be. Well, I've learned now that happiness is not somewhere else. It's already there. It's inside you. It's a gift you've already received. You just have to access it and let it out. But anyway, I hadn't lived my life very intentionally. So even though I'd always wanted to be a happiness expert, I did all kinds of other things. I have been a real estate agent, a mortgage loan officer, a Radio Shack manager, a Wendy's manager, a property manager. I've done everything but what I wanted to do up until 20 years ago. And I was working as a fast food manager, and I was training a new manager how to put away stock. And we were lifting really heavy boxes of meat in the cooler. And as I lifted one box above my head, I felt something in my neck like snap. I don't know what happened. I felt it though. And then my right arm was just hanging off my body, and I was in excruciating pain. And so I knew it was bad. I needed to go to the ER. So I called home to talk to my husband, and he answered the phone, and I knew he was drunk because he was slurring his words, and he had a problem with alcohol. And we had 3 boys, and the youngest was just 6 months old. And I could hear the baby crying. And I said, never mind. I hung up. And I actually managed to drive myself with one arm to the ER in a stick shift. If you have a stick shift, try that sometime. Driving just with your left arm. Keep your right arm behind your back. Try steering, shifting. It was terrible. But anyway, I made it to the ER, and they didn't diagnose the problem right away. And I kept saying, my neck hurts, my neck hurts. They weren't looking at my neck. So they put me in hand therapy. And of course, nothing was working because the problem was in my neck. And then a few months later, I actually got an MRI after saying over and over, the problems with my neck, look at my neck, look at my neck. So they finally did an MRI. And within just a couple days, I was in the hospital having surgery, C6, C7 fusion, for those of you who know necks and neck problems. and was hoping to get the use of my arm back. I did get like my shoulder back, but I still didn't have use of my right hand. So what the neurosurgeon said was that the injury, I herniated my C6, C7 discs, and the injury completely compressed all the nerves and ligaments to my right arm. And then because it was several months from the date of the injury to the date of the surgery, where all of that pressure was then relieved with the fusion, it created permanent nerve damage in my arm and severe muscle atrophy. So I was devastated after that. I couldn't work. I had to move in with my parents. Thank God for my parents. But I couldn't take care of my kids. I mean, try changing a diaper with one hand on a squirmy, wormy little baby. I just couldn't do it. And my husband couldn't handle the situation, so he left. So there I was. One morning I woke up at my mom and dad's house, and I just thought, my life's over. I have no job. I have no husband. I have no income. I can't take care of my children. I can't take care of myself. I couldn't dress myself. I couldn't do any activities of daily living. We had nurses coming in to bathe me and dress me. And my 5-year-old son walked into my room and he said, "I'm hungry." And I said, "Well, go fix yourself some breakfast. Like, you can make a bowl of cereal. Come on, you're 5 years old." And he said, "No, I want you to do it." And I said, "Well, go ask Grandma. Grandma can help you." And he would not take that for an answer. So he planted his feet on the floor and put his hands on the hips in his little Buzz Lightyear pajamas. And he said, "You're the mom, and you're going to get up, and you're going to make me breakfast." And then he grabbed the covers and just yanked them off of me. And so I thought, okay, a few minutes ago, I was just wishing that my life was over, that I was wishing that I would die. And then I think God spoke to me through my 5-year-old, and I got up and I went to the kitchen and I made him a bowl of cereal with one arm. And at that moment, I thought, what can I do? What can I do? I had filled my mind with all the things I couldn't do, all the things I didn't have. And I thought, what can I do? And then I had the thought, maybe this is my opportunity to complete my lifelong dream of becoming a counselor. I call myself a happiness expert. And so I applied to graduate school. Well, actually, in the same day, I applied to Social Security Disability and graduate school. And I got a denial from Social Security Disability because they said I had a bachelor's degree and that my injury was not a brain injury. So those of you who suffer from chronic pain, it affects our brains. I mean, it's really hard to think straight when you're in pain. But anyway, that was great. I got accepted to graduate school, denied disability. So I went to graduate school and ended up getting my master's degree in counseling psychology. And while I was there, I stumbled on positive psychology. I had never heard of it before. And I found out it is the study of what helps people thrive. It's the science of happiness. And I learned that positive psychology is not about what you can't do. It's about what you can do. And that's what I had done in the kitchen. Like I had made that connection. Maybe it's not about what I can't do. It's about what I can do. So when I found that positive psychology, I thought, oh my gosh, like I think I just came home. So yeah, it's about looking at what's right instead of what's wrong, what you have instead of what you don't have, what your strengths are, and how you can use your strengths to improve your well-being. So there I was. I still didn't have, full use of my arm or my hand, but I managed to get through graduate school and get my degree and started a brand new career. And yeah, I think I made like $5,000 my first year, but I believed in it and I stuck with it. And, I'm still doing it. This is my passion. Positive psychology is my passion. Like, it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter what's happened to you or where you are. All that matters is where you want to go from here, right? And whatever's happened to us, we can learn from it. We can grow from it. We can move on from it. We can be better because of it. We can even turn around and help others. So that's going from surviving to thriving. And, it's not a one-time thing. I think we constantly do that over and over and over, depending on what the circumstances are in our lives. So when I was about to turn 50 years later, it was 4 years ago. I'm not that great at math. Those of you who know me are laughing right now. But anyway, my neck injury was in 2002. Now it's 2020. 4 years ago, I was going to turn 50, or 50 was approaching fast. And I looked in the mirror and I hated what I saw. I just felt fat and unhealthy and unhappy, and I felt like a fraud. I was teaching happiness to people, and I was a complete wreck. I was in a marriage where I was being verbally abused on a daily basis. I felt helpless. I felt hopeless. So I did something really crazy. I joined CrossFit. I know, like, I don't recommend it. It's really hard. And I went to CrossFit. I just felt desperate. I just felt like I needed anything to change my life. And so I went to CrossFit and it was horrible. It was so bad. I mean, I could hardly move. I was really overweight. Like, my body kept moving after I stopped moving. It was horrible. Like, it's so sad, but it's also funny. In fact, I'll tell you a little story that I just told my friend and she thought it was hilarious. So, for those of you that understand what it's like to have a larger chest, when you do something like CrossFit, you need to have a good bra. And I went sports bra shopping, and I was in the Lane Bryant dressing room. And one of my friends had said the way to buy a good sports bra is you put it on and then you jump up and down. And if your boobs aren't moving, it's a good sports bra. So I have this sports bra on in the dressing room and I jump up and down and they're not moving. And I'm like, yeah. And the sales associate on the other side of the door says, "Are you okay in there?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine. This is just a really awesome, double-barreled over the shoulder, double-barrel, boulder holder." I just got that wrong, but you know what I'm talking about. And I was laughing so hard, and she's like, "Are you sure you're okay?" Like, "Yeah, I'm fine." I just cracked myself up. So anyway, I even had the right kind of bra, and CrossFit was it was awful. So I actually drove home crying from my first class. And I texted the coach and I said, this is not for me. I'm not coming back. And he texted me, just show up. Just show up. So I thought, well, I mean, my life hadn't changed. I was still pretty desperate. So I started showing up. And, it was great. Like, he scaled all the moves for me so that I could do them. I started feeling better. I started drinking water. I started eating clean. I started getting sleep. And then this magical thing happened. My self-confidence and my self-esteem started improving. So I got rid of the narcissistic, verbally abusive husband. Yay! And just started feeling more like me again and started letting myself be my authentic self. I've been squashed a lot in my life. Like, I've been told, you're too loud, you're too intense, you're too emotional, too. Well, guess what? I am what I am. And people either love me or they don't. And I'm totally fine with that. Because in the end, I'd rather be alone and be me than be surrounded by people who don't accept me. But I do have a lot of people in my life that love me and accept me. So thank you to all of you. But anyway, once again in my life, I went from surviving to thriving, turning 50. So it's like it's always possible. There's always hope. My number one strength is hope, optimism, and future-mindedness. And I get to use that every day, all day long, like in my own life and helping other people. So, things were going pretty good. And then COVID hit. And all of a sudden, I was doing individual counseling in person, and half my clients said, well, if we can't meet in person, we don't want to meet. So I was like, oh my gosh, like, how am I going to pay my bills? And my CrossFit gym closed, and, I started carbon. I'm sure some of you did too. On Facebook, everybody started baking bread. You couldn't even buy yeast at the store. So from all the bread I was eating and the beer I was drinking, well, the weight started coming on really fast. And then I wasn't sleeping well or drinking my water. Like, I just got off. I just got off on everything. Even though you know how it is, like, you know what to do. And then we don't do it. So I started doing business online, which is great. Actually turned out this has been my best year ever, business-wise. So good things can come out of bad things. But then in September, my dad had a heart attack. My 85-year-old dad. And his heart couldn't sustain any invasive procedures, so he just chose quality of life, thank goodness. But they told him he either had 2 weeks or 2 years to live. They just didn't know. My dad is so amazing. He said, well, I'm 85, I've had a good life, and I know where I'm going. Wow. So now I'm just trying to enjoy whatever time I have left with him. But here we are once again, surviving to thriving, a pandemic, a heart attack. I just think, like, that's life. Life is a series of going from surviving to thriving. And each time that we do that, we're able to build resilience, which helps us get through the next time. So I don't know what's coming next. But I know that whatever comes, I'll be okay. You'll be okay. We will all be okay, no matter what happens. We can go from surviving to thriving together, because the best is yet to come. There's always hope. Thanks for listening.